Hello class, these are our secret synthetic division notes. So our curriculum does not show synthetic division, but it's just going to make our lives so much easier that I wanted to make sure that we still did it this year. So you're doing 1 and 2 on your own and then checking your answers with me. So these are like your warm-up. So 1 and 2 are the warm-up. Go ahead and try them. One is long division with box method. The other one is just long division. So go ahead and do those right now and then unpause the video and see how you did. So with the box method, let's remember like whatever our factor is, we write that on one side of the box. We have to make 3 columns because my highest degree is third power because we have x cubed. And then we go through and we have to think like x divided into x cubed. That's x squared. Then we do 3 times x squared. And then let's remember how this diagonal right here has to match up with the negative 2x squared. So that tells us that we need to put in a negative 5x squared. Once again, x into negative 5x squared would make a negative 5x here. Then we multiply. 3 times negative 5x is negative 15x. Okay. And then we do another diagonal. Oops, that is not what I meant to do, not that kind of diagonal. We do another diagonal, and this diagonal has to make a negative 13x. So we'd have to have a 12x in this part of the box. X divides into 12x 12 times. Let's see, what am I? Oh, you know what? Not 12, it needs to be 2 because we want it to be a negative 13. Okay. So that's going to make this a 2. Should have done the long division first. All right, so now this matches, makes a negative 13. We have a 2 here. 2 times 3 is 6. I knew I'd made a mistake because if I had a 12, 12 times 3 did not make 6. My constant term is 6. It should add up. So when we divide, we end up with x squared minus 5x plus 2. So when we do long division, we have x cubed minus 2x squared minus 13x plus 6 dividing by x plus 3. So x divides into x cubed, x squared times. We multiply it back. When we multiply it back, it gets multiplied by both terms. This gives us an x cubed plus a 3x squared. And then we need to subtract. And we're subtracting all of this, okay? So that means we're going to have a minus on our x cubed and also a minus on our 3x squared. So you could do parentheses or you could just go through and change your signs on both. So negative 2 minus 3 more would be a negative 5x squared. Bring down your minus 13x. And then we want to do x into negative 5x squared. That's a negative 5x times. Multiply it back by both the x and the 3 again. And then same thing, I have to subtract all of this. And if I subtract all of it, I'm really going to change both of my signs to adding. And I end up with a 2x plus 6. X divides into 2x 2 times. Multiply it back and subtract again, we get a 0. So it's a lot of the same numbers. I don't know if you notice this as you're going through. Like you have your x cubed and your negative 5x squared and your 3x squared and your 15x and your 2x and your 6. Like everything kind of follows through. They have a lot in common. You're going to notice that with synthetic as well. So synthetic division, synthetic means fake. It's basically fake division. You can use it to evaluate a polynomial or to divide a polynomial. So you can use to divide by x minus a or to evaluate at a. Cannot be used to divide by a quadratic. So it's got to be some kind of linear factor. And we really prefer if x just has a coefficient of 1, makes it easier. So the steps are here for later on, but I am going to kind of guide you through those the first time. So if we are dividing by x plus 3, let's remember that if I have an x plus 3, that means I am looking at x equals negative 3. So negative 3 is going to be the number I use. And I'm going to put this like in the little corner over here. And then I'm going to write out my coefficients. Be really careful. My coefficients have to be in descending order. If I'm missing a term, I need to put a 0 in. So I have a 1x cubed. I have a negative 2x squared, a negative 13x, and a 6. So we're just writing coefficients down. I'm going to leave a little space, like enough room for one line of work. And then I'm going to draw this line. So that's the setup. Now we're looking at bringing down the first coefficient below the addition line. So my first coefficient's the 1. I want to bring that down and write a 1. Now I multiply it by a, so that means 1 times negative 3. Write it underneath the next coefficient. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, and then I add. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. Then I multiply again. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. And then I add, I get 2. Multiply again. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And I add, and I get a remainder of 0, which means I have a factor. So because this 1 right here was an x cubed, and we're dividing by just a factor of x, that means when I start writing out my answer, this is going to be x squared. And this is going to be my x term, and this is going to be my constant term, and then my remainder is 0. So when I divide, I get x squared minus 5x plus 2. Now what we like about this method is when you can use it, it's really easy, right? We're really good at multiplying and adding. We're way better than dividing and subtracting. And we don't have to figure out, like with that box method, we don't have to do some thinking and figure out how to do that. Box is pretty easy as well too, though. So this is our synthetic division. So we're going to do a couple more. We want to divide by x minus 1. So again, let's remember if I have x minus 1 equals 0, that means my 0 or my solution for x is 1. That's my x-intercept. So I'm going to put 1 in the corner, count down with my coefficients. So 3, that's my 4th power 1. That's what I mean by count down. And then my 3rd power is the negative 4, and the 3, and the 7, and the 5. So you're always going to bring down the first number, multiply it back, add, multiply it back, add. 2 times 1 is 2, add, I get 9. 1 times 9 is 9, add, I get 14. So I was pretty sure this was going to work. That means I have done something wrong. So let's go through and see if I can figure out my mistake. So always go back up to the top, check your coefficients, 3, negative 4, 3, negative 7. All right, so let's go ahead and erase here and here and here and see what we got. So let's go ahead and add. Negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Add, I get a remainder of 0. So again, remember, because I started with x to the 4th power and my coefficients went with all my descending order of my exponents there, then this one's going to be 3x cubed. So my answer is going to be 3x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 5. So that's what happens when I divide. And we're still looking at, because I've got a remainder of 0, we're still looking at even factors. I think there's going to be one on your homework where it's not. So we're going to kind of get you thinking about that. Let's look at the next one. If I have a factor of x plus 2, my shelf number is going to be a negative 2. And let's go ahead and write down our coefficients in order: 2, 4, negative 6, negative 5, 14. Leave a little space. You're going to bring down the 2. And then 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. It's kind of weird. We add and get a 0. 0 times negative 2 is still 0. But now when I add, I'm back to numbers again. So negative 6 times negative 2 is 12. Add, I get 7. Times negative 2 is negative 14. Remainder of 0. And since I started again with 4th power, I'm now down to 3rd power. So it's going to be 3rd power squared, x, constant, remainder. So let's go ahead and write it out. 2x cubed. I don't have any x squared, so minus 6x plus 7. All right, on the next one it says you try. So you're going to try it on your own, and we are going to factor completely. So we're going to use our x minus 3 to get a depressed polynomial, and then we're going to keep factoring from there. So go ahead and try it. When you're ready, unpause, and you can watch me work it out. So if x minus 3 is a factor, I'm using 3 as my shelf number. And then I have 2, negative 11, 3, and 36. So let's bring down the 2, multiply it back, add, multiply it back. So negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Add, I get negative 12. Negative 12 times 3 is negative 36. Add, we get 0. So right now we have, if we started out with x cubed, then this is going to be an x squared. So what I have right now is 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. So let's go ahead and keep factoring. I'm going to do a box for this one. So 2x squared, negative 12. 2 times negative 12 means my magic number is negative 24. So I'm trying to get that negative 5x out of a negative 24. Multiplies to make negative 24, adds to make negative 5. So I'm thinking negative 8 times 3. So that means I have a negative 8x and a 3x. And then let's go ahead and do some factoring so we can factor out x and a negative 4 and a 2x and a 3. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and just write out all of the factoring then. So my f of x, first I had a factor of x minus 3. And then from my box over here, I have an x minus 4 and a 2x plus 3. So we have f of x fully factored. So hopefully synthetic division is going to work well for you. It'll save you a little bit of time. So that's the big idea. One more way to divide today. We're still working with our vocabulary. We're still doing long division. Getting pretty close to the end of this chapter. As always, if you need help, please make sure you ask.